Thank you so much for joining us here. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for joining us here on Edmonton Freedom Central. My name is Benita Pedersen, and I'm one of the contributors here at Edmonton Freedom Central, and we really appreciate you tuning in. And what else we would appreciate is if you would please share out this video. Share it out on your page, on your business page, on your group page, whatever works for you. Share out this video. We would appreciate that so much. So tonight's topic is getting motivated to take action. And we have a couple of great guests tonight who are going to be chatting with you and offering some suggestions. And one of the things we just want to let you all know is we feature various guests on this program on different days. And we, first of all, are very grateful for the guests who take the time to be with us and present their ideas. But what we want everyone to know is even if we have a guest on the show, it doesn't necessarily mean we endorse all of their messaging. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Although I have a hunch you're going to love everything that our guests tonight have to say. So just wanted you to be aware of that. And the other thing is we're actually interested in having guests on this show who maybe aren't in the same mindset as us. I'm pretty sure I've let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, of where my mindset is on freedom. But with that being said, if there's someone out there who has a viewpoint contrary to mine, and perhaps they think the current restrictions are reasonable, I welcome you to come and be a guest on the show and let's discuss that. I think that would be a super idea if we got people from some different mindsets here hashing it out in a reasonable way. So I'm just going to open up to that. And if there's a guest out there who wants to come on, I'm very friendly, even when I disagree with you. So come on down and sign up to be on the show. We'll do what we can for you. Some other things to let you folks know is that here at Edmonton Freedom Central, we really appreciate if you could support our good work, if it's on your heart to do so. Everybody on the team is a volunteer, but there are certain expenses that we have. So if you're game to help support Edmonton Freedom Central, well, then you would send an e-transfer to Edmonton Freedom Central at shaw.ca. So that's Edmonton Freedom Central at shaw.ca. So thank you so much for your support. And of course, other ways to support the show include sharing out this video. So share out this broadcast. Now, our guests tonight are two really fabulous people. One of them I've had the pleasure of meeting in person at freedom events throughout the past year. He has come to various events and delivered great speeches, and I just enjoy him so much. So you're probably wondering about who I'm talking about right now. Well, his name is Donald Lee. He is a former band director and teacher and a former businessman and an economist. Donald is also a spiritual author and speaker. He's a great lover of freedom. Donald has been active in politics for many years in the Reform Party, in the Progressive Conservative Party, and in the recent unification of the conservative movement in Alberta. In his present work as a spiritual author and speaker, Donald tries to help people see the spirit in everyday life. And that's part of what he's going to do this evening. Like many of us, Donald is dismayed with the way our society has degenerated over this past couple of years. And it's motivated him to write a new book entitled, "What the Hell is Going On? The Web of Fraud that is enslaving everyone and how we can escape to freedom." And that's what a lot of us want to understand. In the meantime, the theme tonight is getting motivated to take action, motivating yourself and motivating others. Welcome, Donald. I'm so glad to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Benita. It's always a pleasure to interact with you, to see your smiling, beautiful face again, and to be able to join you on another freedom event.
Yeah, it's a different style now. One of the reasons I thought I better go into podcasting is I started looking at the expected temperatures outside. And I thought, well, it's getting awfully cold for freedom rallies. Maybe I'll just delve into something new here. I've only been at this for a couple of weeks, Donald, and I love it already. I absolutely love it.
Starting a podcast is on my list of things to do at some point, but not right now.
Well, fair enough. You're probably busy enough with your writing and speaking, right?
Yeah, I'm delighted to be on your podcast.
Well, thank you so much.
Invitation.
Good. Can you even estimate how many freedom events you've spoken at this year?
Oh, it's not that many.
Okay.
Well,
I always enjoyed every time you could make it out to one of the events I was involved in. So thank you for that, especially when you're driving from Peace River to Edmonton.
Yeah,
it makes
it a long day. You can't stay anywhere. And now, of course, you can't even stop at a restaurant and eat. So, I mean, it's a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
10
the world
plus of driving, plus speaking, meeting people, trying to make an impact. And
yeah. Well, and that's why it's so important that we have shows like today, because with all of these restrictions, and then of course the games they play where, the restrictions are heavier, the restrictions are lighter, like probably what they're going to do on Tuesday, it can be really disheartening for people. Like, I'm actually a bit concerned about Tuesday and whatever Jason Kenney is going to say, because he's probably going to say, hey, we're going to lighten restrictions for Christmas. And then my prediction is after Christmas or into January, the restrictions are going to be increased again. And all of those people who listen to Jason Kenney's message on Tuesday who think that, it's over, the restrictions are eased, we're on our way better, they're going to be so shocked in January when the restrictions are increased again and disheartened. And so a person can really get discouraged when the entities that have such an influence on our lives play these games with us where they say, here's the rules. Oh, no, here's the rules. Oh, no, here's the rules. And so it can be very, very, very hard to get motivated and to stay motivated. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, it's hard to just stay alive. Yeah, the old song, staying alive. Yeah, that's our job for the next few years, just staying alive. I mean, what you're describing is exactly a tactic of psychological warfare. They do this in POW camps. They do it to like just criminal prisoners. They do you apply pressure to them, then you let the pressure off, then a little bit more pressure, and then constantly down, up a little bit, down some more, up a little bit, down. So, and if you look back over the past 2 years, that's what it's been, right? 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then but it's it needs to be more than 2 weeks. The curve's not flat enough yet, and then we're going to lift things up for summer. Actually, we're opening up for good. Remember that from Jason Kenney? And then a few months later, no, sorry, we got to clamp down again, harder than last time. Now you can't go to a restaurant. This is when you look at, and the basis of my whole book is evidence. When you look at the evidence, it becomes clear. And now you're looking at the homepage of my website. That's awesome too. So the web of fraud, and is in the subtitle of my book, and that's exactly what it is. And this COVID fraud is just the last one. And right when I introduce in the book the idea of fraud, and I use the famous Bre-X gold mining fraud as an example. And I don't know if you're old enough to remember that, but some of the older listeners might remember the great Bre-X gold mining fraud. And what exposed that fraud was not experts. Basically all the world's gold mining experts agreed, this is a great deposit. It's going to be a fantastic mine. Buy the stock. And the stock went up and up and up and up and up. And, finally, what exposed the fraud was not any of the experts. It was evidence, right? The company that they eventually partnered with to develop a mine, they didn't take any of the old drill core results or assays. They didn't believe any of that stuff. They drilled their own drill cores right beside the other drill holes, did their own assays, their own gold analysis, and then he said, what gold? There's no gold. And it's evidence. And so when you would just ignore what everybody says, we've been having this fight about which expert do we listen to, right? Is it that epidemiologist we should listen to, or this epidemiologist? Don't trust anybody. It's like Donovan's advice to Indiana Jones. I don't know if you remember that, right? Trust no one. Look at the evidence. It's evidence. So if we look at the evidence, this is psychological warfare. We've been subjected to psychological warfare for 2 years.
I agree. Yep.
And biological warfare. So if,
Yep.
we can get to your question, how to get motivated. It's been really amazing to me that people haven't been able to think strategically and logically through what's going on, which is part of the reason I wrote the book. And I say in the introduction that I'm trying to connect the dots and draw a picture for you what's going on. So it's not just about freedom. We're in a war. I think many of our viewers and listeners today will know that already, but the ability to think strategically seems to be very, very rare. So think through that. Think in this chess game. Think a couple steps ahead. So we're in a war, and our own governments are trying to kill us. Just this fall, a friend of mine lives only a few blocks away. The hospital killed him. He died of COVID. Like, he never should have died of COVID. He never should have had COVID. He fell down the stairs, bumped his head, went into the hospital to see if he'd had a concussion. A month later, he was dead of COVID. Like, this should never happen. He was murdered. And this is happening over and over, all over the place.
Just a side note on that. My good friend, her father and brother went into hospital. They were having some issues. And when in hospital, they were neglected. They weren't given proper care. Both men passed on the same day. And when she comes to a freedom event now, she carries a sign that says COVID protocols killed my brother and my dad. And so this whole system has just been turned upside down, as we're well aware, and yet other people are blind. They don't see it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the psychological warfare too, is the people who've been blinded. They've been manipulated as well. Anyway, go ahead with what you were saying, Donald.
People put those protocols in place, right? Like, people, there are people who are responsible for that. And the day will come, I believe, when these people are held to account for their crimes, and there's crimes. But okay, so everybody knows a story like this now. It's time to accept we're in a war. They're trying to kill us. Adjust your thinking. You want to get motivated? Okay, they're trying to kill us. They're forcing you into these death shots. Whatever. They're trying to kill us. They're subjecting to biological warfare and psychological warfare. Okay, now, it's not just about freedom. All the things that we used to think are important, all the things we used to fight about and argue about with our friends and family and co-workers, none of that matters anymore. We're at a point of, are you going to survive the coming years or not? It's life or death. If that doesn't motivate you, nothing will. People are out to kill you. Put yourself in one of those movies, everybody's out to kill me. There's a conspiracy, whatever, right? What are you going to do? Are you going to do nothing and let them kill you? They will kill you. The people who are behind this want to kill billions of people. They've said that. I'm not making this up. This is not theory. This is what they've said. They want to reduce the world's population by billions of people, and they don't care which people those are. Obviously, the people don't matter to them a bit. If you're one of those billions that get killed, they're fine with that. They're out to kill you. So now, are you motivated yet? Like, people are going to kill me. Yes, I'm motivated. So if you want to, like, when you told me about, what your show was about today, I wrote down a few things. So what should we do? Do you want to get to that?
Yes, this is great. I have a hunch you're going to motivate us.
Okay, so people, you know what? I've come to see myself a little bit like Robin Hood, right? The Sheriff of Nottingham and Prince John, they're out to kill me. And almost everything that we do, if you can kind of take on the Robin Hood persona and see yourself in that light, that's kind of where we're at. All the little Robin Hoods out there, they're out to kill you. And almost everything you do from here on in will be illegal. Let that sink in. Like,
wow, that's profound, even right there. I was just talking to someone today who has been double vaxxed, and I said, in New Brunswick, it looks like they're not letting people who are unvaccinated buy groceries. So this person and I had a conversation, and by the end of the conversation, this person said, well, if needed, I'll buy groceries for you, Benita. And so that's part of the strategy. Rather than me going and risking myself, this person's game to help me. They took the injection. They have their reasons to take the injection. We're getting along great. And so I'm seeing strategic moves needed in our future.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. And I know that I've heard people around here in Peace River where I live say the same thing. But that's not going to be enough. I mean, that will help a lot of people in the short term, but that's not going to be enough. So I've divided my comments here on what to do now, what you can do, into kind of some immediate personal things that you can do to protect yourself, and some kind of longer term things that you should do in your community. So I think like immediately for yourself, three things. Number one, food. We are going to be locked. Our unvaxxed people, and if you've had 2 shots, well, that's just the beginning. Yeah, I hope people are starting to realize this. Right, a few months from now, 2 shots won't be enough. Your Vax Pass will expire, and you'll have to get the 3rd shot. And then 6 months after that, it'll be the 4th shot, and then the 5th shot, and et cetera, et cetera. Like there's no end to this. Once you get on that Vax Pass merry-go-round, you can't get off. So start stocking up on food. I've never done this in my life. Like, there's never been a need to, but I've started to stock up my pantry and my freezer. My freezer is now full, and I've got. I mean, if I couldn't get into the grocery store for a few weeks or a month, we would have food to eat. We would run out of fresh fruit and vegetables, but because we eat a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables in our house, but we wouldn't starve. We'd be okay. So stock up on food, stock up on money. Now, this is off most people's radar, but the money is changing. And I do have a degree in economics and a little bit of a background in economics. All of the central banks in the world are working on digital currencies, and this is coming in. At least 3 countries, China, Sweden, and the United States, are testing or doing field testing of digital currencies right now, this year, as we speak. And Bill Gates and his organization is actually doing a field test that started last summer in one of the West African countries. I just forget which one now, where it's not only a digital currency, but it's essentially an operating system. And I don't remember off the top of my head whether it's a chip that's injected into you or something else, but it's an operating system injected into your body. So like you won't have to have the Vax Pass on a phone. Like that's already obsolete technology. It'll be in a chip in your hand or in some kind of an internal operating system that there'll be no getting out of. And this will be tied into the central bank digital currency. It will be the end of banking as we know it. The commercial banks there will be no more, and they may still have a role in investment banking or something, but it will just commercial banks will cease to exist within a few years. Everyone will have an account with the central bank, and you will have there'll be no currency. It'll all be either on your phone, maybe on your phone to begin with, but eventually in your body. And they'll be able to turn on and off your money. If you're a bad boy or girl, they'll just restrict your money or shut it off altogether. Everybody who has an employer will be paid this way. Like the money is the linchpin of the whole control system that we're moving to.
Okay. I want to talk more about that, Donald. But there's a video I actually want to show you from Shannon Shepherd. And I'd like you to take a look at this video and we'll discuss it. It's a bit about groceries, food, money. So take a look there. Oh, hold on. This is the Grand Prairie one. I was hoping for the Shannon Shepherd one. Let's see if we can find that. We showed it the other night, Friday night. And anyway, what I'm getting at is in New Brunswick, apparently the government gave permission to grocery stores to make the choice that those who haven't been double vaxxed aren't allowed to shop there. And some grocery stores have actually said, yeah, we're going to bar certain people from shopping for groceries. Yeah. And there's people protesting in the streets now in New Brunswick, and we're talking lots and lots of people. I thought, oh yeah, in Edmonton, we're doing great freedom rallies. Well, no, the people are fired up there and they're ready to take action. So when you come, like, it's one thing to stop someone from going to the restaurant. And actually last Saturday, I received an injunction. Apparently I'm not allowed back at West Edmonton Mall property until further notice. And, you know, to me, okay, no big loss. I'm not really going to miss West Edmonton Mall. So that's one thing, right? To stop someone from going to a restaurant, stop someone from going to a mall, but to stop someone from going to a grocery store, yeah, this is just wrong. Wrong.
It's part of the whole process of forcing people into their system.
Yes, the intimidation. So this video here we're looking at, this is from Grand Prairie, in a mall in Grand Prairie, from Saturday, December 4th. And what it was is a mother, her name's Veronica, was in the mall with her kids, and she had purchased some food. And all she wanted to do was figure out where to sit down. And she could tell that she wasn't allowed into the food court to sit down. She perceived the way things were going on, you had to show some sort of pass that she didn't have with her, and they wouldn't let her in. So what she said to security is, well, I've got 2 little kids with me. Where can I sit down? And the security said, well, there's a bench down the way. And she says, oh, well, I was just down there and I didn't see a bench. Can you show me? And that's all she did. Like, she wasn't even that confrontative. She was simply saying, where can I sit down with my kids? Well, the one security guard ended up calling the other security guards. And as you can see here, they're basically chasing her out of the mall. They're attempting to intimidate her. And so she's, to an extent, she's complying, but they're trying to get her right out of the mall there. And like, look how little her little kids are. So they get her to the door, escorting her there. And they're like, she stops. And the security says to her, hey, you have to keep going. You have to leave the mall now. And she says, it's cold right outside, and I'm not leaving until I dress up my kids properly. And so she, in a sense, had to push back. So like we have these moments where they attempt to intimidate us, and we have to find it within ourselves, that strength to push back and that motivation to want to. Like, even just think what it took for her even to go to the mall that day, because part of her probably knew if they're walking around the mall without a mask, they might face some issues, right? So she had to get motivated that day to do that. So can you speak a bit about that, about what it might take for a mother to get to the mall, to interact with security in a peaceful manner? Can you talk about the motivation for putting yourself out there to do that?
Yeah, and I think we need to be willing to do that. And I know personally, like I resist that too. I just don't go places where I'm not welcome anymore, which means that I don't go hardly anywhere. And maybe I'll talk a little bit later on how that ultimately all of us will do that, because we'll be locked out. I mean, today it's the mask, or you haven't got the double vax. I mean, but like, we're going to be pushed out of society. You can see this has been happening for almost 2 years now, and it will continue to get worse. We will be pushed out. So yeah, we should push back and do it. Having some facts behind you that, like, they don't have the authority to do that. They cannot do that. What they're doing is illegal. And yeah, people, before you go out, go in a group. Like, get a group of people. Some of that happened this weekend, right? In various places. Get a group of people, go to the mall, unmasked, go shopping, unmasked, and stand up for each other, and don't accept this. Another aspect of it is that, like, these security guards, like, guys, if you're in this kind of a position, if you're in a position of authority and you're enforcing these illegal decrees, this is against the law. This woman did nothing wrong. She did not break any law. She has every right to be there. That whatever decree that our dictators have come out with that says that you have to be double vaxxed, you have to wear, these are illegal. And if you're enforcing, especially police, I mean, these guys are security guys, like the rent-a-cops kind of thing. But still, like, why are you doing this to people? Stop and think about what you're doing. who you are becoming. This touches on the spiritual thing, and I talk about that a little bit in my book. It's about who are you becoming when you behave this way, when you treat your fellow human beings, your brothers and sisters, when you treat them like this. Is this who you want to be? Ask yourself this. And for our RCMP and our real police, people like, hold it, guys, listen. If any of them are listening to this, you signed on to uphold the law. And the fundamental law of this country is our Constitution. And we've got some rights in there that are guaranteed. And they're being trampled on by these supposed laws. They're not real laws. They violate the Constitution, so they're null and void. And you know that. You know, as policemen, you know enough about the law to know that what's going on is illegal. And if, as enforcers of the law, you are engaging in lawlessness, what are you doing?
Well, and it's not just law enforcement that's doing it. It's also the owners of businesses. And I was in a business one day and I ordered food, sat down to eat it. Well, at some point, the owner came to the table and said, oh, you have to, show her something. And I said, no, I don't have that. And she said, well, you have to leave my restaurant. And I didn't want to be too overly confrontative, but I did say to her, I am very, very disappointed that you are choosing segregation today. And I just said it softly. I wasn't angry. And I repeated similar statements as I walked towards the door slowly at my speed. She wanted me to walk much faster, but I chose to walk slowly. And I let her know my disappointment. And I'm sensing I got under her skin. Her face was rather red. You could tell she's upset and she's stressed out. And you can just imagine this fine line she's walking where she's getting pressure from people like me, but also pressure from, the health authorities, etc. But she's still choosing it. She's choosing segregation. Yep. So it's law enforcement, it's business owners, it's staff members of businesses. Some staff members are more relaxed about it. There are places you can bend the rules. I'm not going to announce any of those places here though, because that's just going to bring trouble to them.
The business owners are caught between a rock and a hard place. I mean, the fines that they can levy against you will bankrupt them. So, this is part of the overall. I have a chapter on this too. That they want to destroy independent business. They want to make everyone dependent on the government, one way or another. If you're independent, then you can live outside their system of control, and they're gradually squeezing everybody into their system of control. And that's why I say the few things you can take immediately, few things you can do. And number one is to get a stock of food so you don't starve, is to keep some cash at home. So when the money system changes, you have some means of some medium of exchange that you can still use with outside their system. And that, like, all financial assets are ultimately going to be digitalized. And so whatever financial assets you have, whether that's money in the bank, that's the simplest thing. Like, I suggest take your money out of banks and put it into anything that's real. Silver and gold coins are good there. Like, whatever happens to prices of other things, you know what? An ounce of silver is still an ounce of silver. And so that's the third thing. The third thing that I would suggest, and these are all like little things kind of condensed out of my book. We're moving rapidly into a total surveillance society, particularly in urban areas. If you don't have to live in a city, I'd get out of a city. I would recommend getting rid of every smart device you own. I have a smartphone. My next phone is going to be a dumb phone. And I know I'll lose, functions that I want on there. I'm going to live with that. I can phone and text poorly, and that's it. But yeah, your smart appliances, your smart speakers, they're listening to everything you say also. This is part of the whole surveillance network. So avoid that. Those three things I would say for individuals immediately: get a stock of food and essential supplies for at least a little while. Try to build up reduce and get out of debt to whatever extent possible. Get out of debt. this is one of the main ways to enslave people is debt entrapment, and it's huge. These debts in the world are unpayable, and like the central bankers know that our existing financial structure in the world is unsustainable. That's part of why they're bringing in the digital currencies. So yeah, get anything real, especially some cash. And thirdly, try to disconnect yourself from the surveillance society as much as you can. Now, on a more longer term scale, and not a personal, but more of a community scale, what we need to do is a combination of two things. And if anybody wants to know more about this, go to my website, send me a message. There's, on every website, right? There's a contact me thing. You can send me a little contact there. Send me a little email, ask me about it, and I'll send you that's my books page. If you send me a message, I think you'll get a free abridged. There you go. Contact me. And
fantastic, Donald. Thanks for sharing that. So if viewers want to contact you, they can head to your website. They can go to contact. They can send you an email direct. Right on. Okay. So on that note, I encourage our viewers to, if you wish, briefly check out his website. We're just going to take a little mini break here. We'll be back in a few minutes with Donald Lee. Later on, we have another guest on the show. By the way, viewers, please share out this video and also engage more in the comments. We appreciate your comments. We'll see you in a few minutes.
salvation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, Lord God. In Jesus' name, amen. Jesus, thank you, Lord. Hallelujah.
Welcome back, everybody. Please share out this video. Welcome to Edmonton Freedom Central. Right now, we are interviewing Donald Lee. He's an author and a speaker, and the topic tonight is getting motivated to take action. So, Donald, you were on a thought there, and I interrupted you. Go ahead and finish that thought where you were at.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It was inspiring looking at all of those those images of various demonstrations and stuff. But we're at the point in our discussion, if anybody's just joining us, of, okay, so now you're motivated. I hope you're motivated, because they're going to kill you. Okay, so that should motivate you. So get motivated to save your life and the lives of those you love. And you should love everyone. So, right, we're going to try to save everybody's life if we can. So what actions? And as I was watching all those demonstrations, it's great, but it's also a good reminder that I think, now this is my take on what's going on. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so, obviously, or I'd change my mind, right? So the demonstrations that we do publicly are important, but let's not think that they are actually going to change anything. They haven't changed anything yet. I mean, we've had small demonstrations here in Alberta, but in Europe, like, they have 500,000, million people. Hasn't changed what's going on in those countries, right? Austria instituted lockdown of the unvaccinated anyway. So, like, the people who are in control are going to do what they're going to do, and it doesn't matter really to them how many people disagree or protest or have marches. And So there's a couple things. What I've done, and just before our break, I said, if you want to learn more about this, go to my website, send me a message, and I'll send you a little kind of document that I put together for people here in Peace River to try to explain, okay, here's what I think we need to do. It's a combination of two ideas. And one of them I got from a lady in the United States by the name of Pam Popper. And some of your listeners have probably heard of her. She's, and this is what we need to do. Okay. She started a year and a half ago. She said, like, this is crazy. There's some crazy stuff going on. And she invited a couple of friends over to sit down and have a cup of coffee around the kitchen table one Thursday evening. And that started what has become her movement of Thursday meetings. Now, you don't have to do them Thursday. We do them Thursdays here in Peace River, right? Little meetings around a kitchen table or living room or something, get a couple of friends over and start to organize to push back against the tyranny. There's two general purposes of our Thursday meetings. Number one is to be a support group for each other in whatever way each other needs support. Maybe it's a shoulder to cry on because, somebody you know and love just died from the COVID shot. Maybe it's your business is failing and, we need to try to rescue local businesses. What can we do to do that? Maybe it's they're locking us out of stores and how can we organize food supply? So, for example, here in Peace River, we're getting going a food co-op where we're buying food on the wholesale level. We're getting that organized. We're putting our first order in next week, and we're going to be buying. So when we're shut out of grocery stores, it doesn't matter because we've arranged an alternative food supply. And we're trying to come up with some similar ideas in the area of healthcare and medicine. This is going to be important. We haven't really got that worked out yet, but there's, this is one of the things. Now, so it's Pam Popper's Thursday. So the two purposes. Number one, to be a support group for each other in whatever way people need support. The second thing is to work at ways we can effectively push back against the tyranny. The public demonstrations are not effective in pushing back against the tyranny, but they are important for a number of things. And one of the big ones is to help us connect with other like-minded individuals. Now, a few months ago, I heard a key podcast interview with a guy that some of your listeners will now have heard of. His name is Matthias Desmet, Desmet. He's a psychologist and professor of psychology in Belgium. And this is his area of specialty. It's called the mass or the group psychology or psychological process or phenomenon known as mass formation. It goes by several names, and most of us would understand it better as mass hypnosis. And it's great. So look him up, Matthias, 2 T's, Mattias, Desmet, Desmet. He's been on lots of podcasts lately. So you can find all kinds of stuff on him on the internet. So he explains this process. He says, this is what's happening. It has happened before every totalitarian takeover of the 20th century, and it's happening now. He explains the conditions that are necessary, what happens, and a couple of key things come out of it. Number one, the phenomenon is amazingly consistent from one instance to the next. 30% of people are actually hypnotized. Now, these are the people you try to talk to, and you just can't talk to them, right? You cannot get through to these people with facts, with evidence, with logic. It has no impact on them. They are literally hypnotized. They cannot perceive what you're trying to. Don't worry about them. Leave them alone. Love them, but leave them alone. Now, another 30% of the population are us. We're the rebels. We realize something weird's going on. Like, this doesn't add up. And we're willing to speak out about it. But he said that, you know what? Throughout history, that 30% of rebels is a very disparate group. Like, they're different ages, different sexes, different backgrounds, different education levels, different social strata, different, like everything. Said in the past that group has never been able to come together as a unified force. That is what we have to do. We need to connect with like-minded individuals, other rebels who see that what's going on is a fraud, and connect with them to
I'm
find.
going to interject here, Donald.
Okay.
You get me so excited because this is exactly what I see. There's all these different freedom groups, and sometimes they're kind of against each other, but there's other times they work together. And so, for example, Edmonton Freedom Central, All Fired Up for Freedom, Alberta for Liberty, 3 groups that work together beautifully. I'm not saying we never have conflicts or disagreements, but we're learning to work together. And I have an experience where I was working with a fellow freedom fighter, and it's, let's just say, someone with a really difficult personality. Well, I see his passion for freedom, and even though sometimes he's saying offensive things, whatever, I get past that, because what's important is not that he pissed me off with something he said. What's important is that we are united for freedom, and we have to come together. So I completely concur with what you're saying. So please elaborate and tell us more about how we can successfully do that.
So Professor Desmond says, if that 30% of rebels can come together and be a unified force, and then pull with them the other 40%. Okay, so 30% are hypnotized, 30% are rebels. In the middle is 40% who think this doesn't really add up, but they go along, right? They wear the mask. I know the mask doesn't do anything, but you know what? I got to wear it, so I wear it. Yeah, and I got the shot because I want to see my grandchildren. I want to travel to my, whatever, Las Vegas or whatever. I want to travel. I want to do this. I got the shot. My employer said I had to. They think something's wrong, but they go along. Okay. If the 30% of rebels can form a unified force and pull with them that 40% of fence sitters, he said the whole hypnosis just falls apart. And that's what we have to do. It's a slow process. But that's what we have to do. Now, it ties in with another thing that's going on. And this is what I call parallel structures. It's not my idea. It comes from, oh man, I'm bad. The older I get, the worse I get with names. But his name will come to me. Czechoslovakia. He was one of the leading kind of dissidents in communist Czechoslovakia, became the first president of the free when Czechoslovakia threw off communism in 1989. And he called it parallel structures. And he looked around the communist state in which he lived. Understand, guys, we're living in a communist state. Maybe you don't like the word communist. It's a totalitarian state. Okay. So he was living in a communist state. He looked around. Václav Havel, thank you very much. Phil, it's probably Phil, our tech guy who did that. Thank you. Václav Havel. It passed away now, but anyway, a great guy. So the communists controlled all of what he called structures. They controlled the government. They controlled the courts. They controlled the police. They controlled the army. They even controlled all the professional associations, like all the doctors' associations, all the lawyers' associations, the accountants. It controlled the media and all the journalists' associations. They controlled everything in society, all of the what we might call social structures, political structures, economic structures. That's exactly what we have now. The Alberta Medical Association is a captured institution. You can't talk to them. They're not listening to reason. They're not following the science. They're promoting propaganda and they're murdering people. This is a captured structure. Okay, and that's one chapter in my book is about communist subversion and how it works. These have been intentionally subverted and captured. So when he said, okay, we need to develop other ones outside that system, parallel structures. And that's exactly what we're doing here with the food co-op. We need to come up with another structure to provide food for people. We need to provide another structure for education. Our education system is captured. They're doing exactly what they're told. They're not thinking. They're not following science. They're not it's captured. So, I mean, people all over the province have been taking their kids out of school. If I had kids in school, well, you'll get my hair. I don't have kids in school anymore, right? If I had kids in school, I'd take them out and homeschool them. Right now, that's not a workable alternative for everybody. For a lot of people, it's just not. But what many people are doing is they're getting inventive, right? They're doing kind of group homeschooling. Maybe you get 5 families together and they all get home, all the kids all get homeschooled at family A's on Monday. Then on Tuesday, they go to the home of family B where they get homeschooled there, etc. So 5 days a week, 5 families, you get whatever, 10 or 15 kids, and they all have their own homeschooling plan. And there's, one parent or something there getting helping them. Other places you can get together 10 or 15 families, each put in $400 or $500 a month, hire a teacher directly.
I just interviewed one of those parents who's doing that in a community. And yeah, all these families got together. They hired a teacher. They even rented a space. They had enough money to do that. So they have this classroom for a few days a week. The teacher comes in, she teaches, and the kids go home. So they're figuring it out.
Yeah, because teachers are getting laid off and fired too. And this is happening in every industry, in every business, in every profession. People are being forced out. They're looking for work. And there's other people say, I don't want my kids going to school. I don't want my kids to wear a mask all day long. Like this is, more and more psychological studies are coming up showing how absolutely destructive this is. This is psychological torture on children. Children need faces. That's why we have faces here. Right? We need, because so much of our communication is nonverbal through facial expression. Even me as an adult, someone who I go in the grocery store, they're just zombies. Like I can't see these people. They're all masked bandits. I just ignore them. For the most part, I ignore everybody. I see somebody without a mask, I talk to them, I smile. I see the kids without masks, I smile at them. They smile back. Some of them are totally shocked to see somebody without a mask. But this is psychological warfare directed at our children. If I was a parent, I would not allow it to my children. So take your kids out of school. So what will happen? We don't need to fight against anything. We don't need to destroy anything. What we need to do is create. We need to create what we want. We need to create the communities that we want. We need to create the structures in our society that we want. And I have a great quote in my book from I think it was from Buckminster Fuller that said that you don't need to destroy something that's existing. Just build something new. It will collapse on its own.
Donald, this completely echoes the stuff I've been saying. Yeah. I've given some speeches at rallies on this. There's a paper that comes out. It's called WTAF, When They All Fall. And earlier in the year, when I first looked at that paper, I kind of thought, what's that mean? Well, what it means is the old system is going to fail. But some people seem to think, the old system's going to fail because we're going to destroy it. And I don't think that's the answer. That's not the answer. The old system is going to fail simply because we abandon it, because we're building now. It's already started. The new system has already started. There's new systems in healthcare with Ezra Wellness, for example. There's the new home school structure like you're talking about. There's already people writing new governance policies, because trust me, we're going to be abandoning a lot of government policies in the future. Absolutely. And so they are already writing the new policies on taxation and the new rules for healthcare. These documents are already being created. They're not ready yet, but they're being created. So it's kind of like a house. Donald, you tell me if you agree with me on this. Let's pretend we own an acreage and we have an old house on part of the acreage that we're living in. And you and me. And we have exciting. A new house.
Wait till I tell my wife.
Sorry. So we have a new house we're building. So what it comes down to is we're not going to tear down the old house until we're finished with it, right? We might not even really be finished with it, but we're not going to tear it down and get rid of it until the new house is basically ready to move into. Now, it'd be nice if that new house was just perfect and absolutely finished when we move into it, but maybe it's mostly finished and it still needs the trim boards put up. We could still move in to the new house. So what I'm trying to say is there's the old healthcare system, old school, old governance. There's new healthcare, new school, new governments. They're being built right now, and there's people already moving into them. It's not ready yet for everybody, but you're all invited eventually. And that's the way I see it. The old system will fall because it's abandoned.
Yeah. Benita, but there's no point there. Everyone needs to build their own. That what's happened, this transition that we're going through. Okay. I think that people in the world will, when we come out of this a decade, and I'm expecting this war to be a decade long. Like, this is not short. We're not going to win next year or the year after. This is like, buckle down for a long war, guys. But I think what will come out the other side of this is we will realize that the structures that we have drawn power into fewer and fewer hands all the time. And just as the old saying goes, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That it's not simply a matter of putting new people into these positions, right? Is it, people are complaining about Premier Jason Kenney right now. So am I. I said, like, get rid of the guy. But if you put someone else into his position, nothing would change, right? If we elect the NDP and we put what's her name in there, it will get worse, right? It will not get better. Nothing will change. The structure is faulty. It puts too much power at the top, and we need to have more power pushed down as low as possible, right down into individuals. And at the end of my book, I mean, it's like freedom and responsibility are two sides of the same coin, right? Everybody is saying, oh, freedom, freedom, freedom. But I don't hear people saying responsibility, responsibility. They go together, guys. You want freedom? You have responsibility. And that's what we've lost. You see, we've given up. She's this line in my book, right? We gave up our responsibility, and freedom slipped out the door in responsibility's embrace. So take responsibility back. You're responsible for educating your kids. Find a way to do it. You're responsible for taking care of your preschoolers. Don't like this $10 a day daycare. The government's not responsible for taking care of your kids. Sorry, guys, parents. Hey, we took care of our kids. This is the way it's been since, like, for millions of years. You have children, you take after them. Like, that's your responsibility, nobody else's. Look after your kids for $10 a day. People are going to have to accept this and push the power and authority and responsibility down as low as possible, down to municipalities. And I think the next thing, we don't have time to get into it on right now, but like the next thing we need to go after you've kind of started building parallel structures is working at the level of our municipalities and having municipalities declare themselves as semi-autonomous towns and semi-autonomous cities and saying, look, we'll take care of this. As much as we have a great tradition with the RCMP, I think it's time to get rid of the national police force. We need to go back to more local police force and say, you know what? And if we had a local police force, then the local town council could say, we're not having a mask mandate in our town. And our town policemen, they're not enforcing these dictatorial decrees coming out of the provincial government. No, we're not doing it in our town. We're a semi-autonomous town, and that doesn't apply here. The term sanctuary cities has been used in the last couple of years. We're a sanctuary city where we treat everyone with the same amount of respect. We don't discriminate against people. We don't ask people for their personal health records or health status. We trust people that, to be responsible in their own behavior. And we expect that, and we trust that. So, like, then we're going to have, that's where we need to go. That just right now we have a legal structure where all the municipalities in Alberta, at least, I don't know what it's like in other provinces, legally are creations of the provincial government. And I think we need to turn that around and say, no, our municipalities are going to be incorporated because they incorporated themselves. We're a city because we say we're a city. And if we want to be a part of this province, then we'll get together and be a part of the province. And the province will be a creation of the cities and towns, not the other way around. And if I've been saying for years, Canada's dead. This is not Canada anymore. This is not the country I grew up in. I don't recognize this place. And to be honest, this place doesn't recognize me either anymore. So, like, Canada does not exist. That's a structure that, in my mind, has already disintegrated. There is no Canada. The question is, once we have formed a semi-autonomous town, and we have decided our semi-autonomous town is going to join together with other semi-autonomous towns and cities and create a province, maybe with this borders, maybe not. Do we want to be part of a country? So I think it's not going to be a question of, do we want to secede from Canada? It's more of a question of, do we want to join a country now that we are an independent province state?
You know what, Donald, I am so thankful right now to have you on the show, because you're making me think and you're making me rethink. I have a lot of ideas, but this is super to hear from you like this, because you make me dig a little deeper. And I think you're making our viewers dig deeper. We've got lots of comments coming in. Yeah. And my hope, Donald, is after the show, you'll look at all the comments and respond to as many as possible. Okay. So in other words, to our viewers, comment on the post, please comment your thoughts, whether you agree with Donald, whether you disagree, please comment in the comments. We would love that. You can visit his website at some point here when you're ready. Check out his books and other resources available if you want to hear from him. And the other thing we asked you is you share out this post. Please share this out and support Edmonton Freedom Central that way. Donald Lee is a former band director. He's a speaker. He's a writer. He's a former business owner. He's got quite the background, and I've had the privilege of hosting him at various freedom events, and just really super thankful to have him come be on the show tonight. Now, Donald, I have another guest that I'll be inviting in a few minutes. So what we're going to do is take a bit of a break, play a few videos, and I'm going to get my other guest on the line, and then I'll have a bit of a meeting with her, and then afterwards, I'm hoping we can fit in a panel discussion. Does that work for you?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah. You said you want to bring up energy.
Yeah. Is there something you want to say to bring up the energy?
Well. Oh, I thought you were talking about like energy, like fossil fuels versus no, my energy. Is it my energy you're talking about, or what? Anyway.
Oh, no, it's I'll explain behind the scenes. I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, so we're gonna go to the break.
I can talk to that too.
Okay, we'll come back on that.
All right.
Okay.
Is the center of our gravity. Home is not a privilege that is granted by Her Majesty. A home is our right, a place to raise our family. Home is where we go for tranquility and sanctity. Home is where we feel at peace and we can have some privacy, where I can voice my thoughts and nobody tries to silence me. Home is where commotion turns to settling dust. Home is where we raise our kids to be better than us. And home is more than just a house. Home is where there's unity. Home is where we gather. Home is our communities. Home is the connection that we share when we trust. Home is not about me. Home is about us. Home is the guiding light within that we feel drawn to. Home is the source of our creation we belong to. Let them try with their lies meant to pull us apart. We always find our way home because we know it by heart.
All these long and lonely roads, they wind and bend, they find me friends, they lead me home. And I know no matter where I roam, I'm watching love from high above, I'm not alone.
Home is our cities, our states and our countries. Home is the earth below, the sky above me. Home is the truth we instinctively know, helping us to find home everywhere that we go. But there's many false prophets trying to lead us astray, who want to tell us what to do but not hear what we say. They ignore us while they play their game of righteous pretend, like we don't notice that their rules ain't applying to them. While our children have lost their future, made to cover up their faces, forced to get injections for attendance at their favorite places. Where does it end? When we take to the streets, the government won't call a hearing, they just call the police. And to the faceless stormtroopers, where is your humanity? Just following orders is no excuse for your insanity. It's time to cut the rod out at the source like a cavity. It's time to go home and realize that we're a family.
All these watching love from high above. I'm not alone.
Recognize this country, is this the way you like to live? Constantly harassed to put a mask upon your wife and kids. Cops with riot packs who like to act as if no rights exist. Alive, but we're not really living. What kind of life is this? The world is full of risks, but we don't need protection, cause all of their solutions are much worse than the infection. If we want resolution, we need unity, not politics. Why should we trust somebody who's broken so many promises? But maybe this was meant to be and had to happen all along. The cycle's always spinning and it's darkest right before the dawn. It's funny, to the point of laughing out loud, cause what they said would never happen, well it's happening now. And so many are waking up. Welcome to the front lines. The ones who know behind the clouds will always be the sunshine. You and I see through the lies, no longer alone, and let the compass in our souls guide and carry us home.
All these long and lonely roads, they wind and bend, they find me friends, they lead me home. And I know, no matter where I roam, I'm watching love from high above. I'm not alone. All these long, lonely roads lead me home. I'm watching love from high above. I'm not alone. All these long and lonely roads, they wind and bend, they find me friends, they lead me home. And I know, no matter where I roam, I'm watching love from high above. I'm not alone. Take me home.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Benita Pedersen. I'm with Edmonton Freedom Central. Tonight, I have the privilege of interviewing Donald Lee. He's a speaker and an author, and we have already covered some amazing subjects tonight. Donald, I feel like I could spend all night talking to you. You have so much wisdom to share. We've barely touched the surface of it.
Yeah, well, that's why I had to write. Yeah,
that's why you had to write a book, right? It's all bursting out of you. If people want to capture the ideas you're talking about tonight, which book is it they should purchase?
Most recently, he has become known as one of the.
Oh, I got to show you this video in a moment here. But what was the title of the book again? Just say it out.
So it's upcoming. I'm in the process of looking for a literary agent and a publisher. If anybody out there can help me with that, please contact me through my website.
You're looking for a literary agent and publisher?
And a publisher. Now, I've had an offer from a very tiny press, but I think this book needs the wider distribution that can come from a major publisher. So that's why I've taken the time I'm taking this time. I mean, I was originally going to self-publish it in the fall and decided that no, I should take some more time and try to get
okay. So the concepts you're talking about tonight haven't been published yet. The books you're promoting on your website are your other books. They're from before.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And so my first book was a book of parables inspired by my 2 decades as a teacher and a band director. It's called The Band Director's Lessons About Life. And there's 50 little parables in there. Each one begins with a little story. And then there's a reflection section that draws a spiritual lesson out of the story. So that there's a parable on love and a parable on forgiveness and a parable on perseverance and et cetera, 50 different little parables. And
I have a hunch that the viewers tonight like how you think, so they may want to order that book. So, and then of course the new book once you get a publisher for it. So when we left, we were talking a bit about energy. And of course the theme tonight is about motivation and getting motivated to take action. Now, in your case, you've spoken about a specific form of action where we basically build a parallel society.
Yep.
Now, there's people that they get discouraged by current circumstances, and sometimes it's hard to get motivated to take any kind of action, and the energy levels are down. And so can you speak to that for a moment? Like, you're being specific about the action you recommend people take in building a parallel society, but people might know that, they might intellectually know they need to take action, and yet they still can't summon up energy and motivation.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that for a moment on how people can summon it up?
Okay, sure. Maybe two lines of thought here. One, what to avoid, and then what to do. So we're being subjected, as we said before, to psychological warfare. So we need to shield ourselves from that psychological warfare. Most of it is happening through the mainstream media. Shut off your television. Even include, like, shut off your Netflix. I don't even watch movies anymore. Like, I haven't watched broadcast television for about 30 years. And in the last 5 years or so, I've even phased out of watching movies. I just don't enjoy them anymore. So people say, oh, well, you know, what would you do if you didn't watch? Like, the average North American really spends something like 30 hours. I don't know what the most recent, a week, like, in front of the TV. Shut it off. Okay, shut off your television. It's essentially, it's almost impossible to believe. All of this is impossible to believe. That's the problem. It's not hard to understand. It's hard to believe. But all of this broadcast stuff through television, radio, all the rest, has essentially become psychological mind control. Shut it all off. Protect yourself from it as much as possible. One of the things that Matthias Desmet said about this this process of mass formation or mass psychosis, mass mass hypnosis that we're undergoing, said a couple of things sort of stand out in terms of, like, who isn't susceptible to this. And he said there's two things. People who have a very strong religious faith seem to be better able to not be hypnotized by this. And the second one is people who have a very strong connection to nature seem to be less susceptible to this hypnosis. So two things, like, find yourself some religious or spiritual support in whatever way is meaningful to you, and engage in some sort of spiritual practice daily, whether it be praying, reading the Bible, meditating, whatever avenue of kind of, you know, that you want, do it. Okay, make it a daily practice, and get out in nature every day. Try to get out in nature. I go, like, right outside my house is this big hill that we call Misery Mountain, but it's not a mountain. It's a big hill. It's got a beautiful ski hill and stuff on it, and it's all covered with trees. And there's deer and coyotes and rabbits and grouse and stuff. And I go for a walk up there pretty much every day, and get out in nature. So those are things you can do, and then get around like-minded people. Stay away from that 30% of hypnotized people. Okay, and I mean, well, they're my friends. Make new friends. You know what? This is your life. They're out to kill you. Change your friends. And seriously. And I know that seems flippant, but you know what? I've done it at several points in my life. Kind of, you know, when I changed careers, it's been kind of sad. But you know what? I changed careers several times in my life, and, like, all of those people that I thought were my friends in an old career and an old place I live, they're not a part of my life anymore. And, like, some of them I miss, but you know what? You survive. Find some new friends. Find like-minded people. Invite a couple of them over. So, okay, what can we do? In every community in Alberta, I think there is some kind of group already going. There's numerous ones in Edmonton. We got a group going here in Peace River, like everywhere. Connect in with the group and start meeting with those people. And they will be your support. They will be your psychological and emotional support. And you can work on creating something productive and better together.
I'm loving this. Thank you so much, Donald. So first of all, church is mine. I found a new church. I plug in. I go twice a week, and that's something that nurtures me. So I'm so glad you mentioned the spiritual is what can energize you, and it does. I attended church today. I'm energized, but our choir needs work. So if you could move to my area and be the band director, that'd be great. Anyways, then on groups getting together and empowering one another. So there was an incident in Grand Prairie last Saturday, and there were actually a few different incidences, and in one case, a firefighter got arrested. This is how the community responded today, okay? I want you to see what happens here. Somebody was escorted out of the mall last weekend, and there are various people in Grand Prairie, at least 100, came and sang "O Canada." Listen to this. That's at Prairie Mall in Grand Prairie. And Veronica had to leave the mall the previous weekend. And then this weekend, the crowd went in, and that was their way of pushing back. Go in as a group, sing "O Canada." And can you feel the energy there with all these people together, those like-minded people coming together in this moment in time? And then my understanding is after they sang that song, they sat down in the food court and they ate their food. Yeah. And they were not disturbed by security guards because, of course, they're in big numbers and there's power in numbers. What did you say?
Yeah, go with friends. And you know what? Matthias Desmet says this too. It's important to stand up and be seen. Then those 40% of fence sitters and even the 30% who are hypnotized start seeing, oh, like not everybody believes this. And that's important. That's an important part of why we have public demonstrations, public things. It's not going to have an immediate impact on changing these draconian dictates that are coming down from Edmonton and from Ottawa, but it has an impact on like our brothers and sisters, our friends and neighbors, our community, and other people in the community start to realize that not everybody is going along with this crap, and not everybody believes this crap, and it starts to put chinks in the armor of this hypnosis, and that's that will be a gradual process. But we still need to build these parallel structures. We still need to do our Thursday groups, get together with people, start like that was done because people organized it, because there was an organization, and there's a couple organizations in Grand Prairie. Born Free Grand Prairie. Born Free Grand Prairie is the name. I think of one of the key groups there that has been.
It's Born Free GP, and they have a Facebook page, and I think they have a website too. Born Free GP. Yeah. Okay, so speaking of groups getting together, we're going to show you another little sample clip here. This is from Okotoks, and this is Denison's speech. You got to see this. This police officer stood up against the mandates. Watch here.
Brave faces for freedom in our province as he spoke out against being forced to get the job or lose his career and his livelihood. On November 6th, he was suspended with pay and will likely be rewarded for his years of service by being fired. He also faces internal charges of discreditable conduct and insubordination. He said it is likely to result in his firing. So please put your Okotoks and Calgary hands together for Brian Denison.
Thank you. Okotoks, you're wonderful. Thank you for inviting me out here. This is the first time I've talked in front of a crowd like this. This is the first time I've talked in front of a crowd like this. Let me address this. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I wrote down a few words,
So,
but
for
usually
anybody
I just
who
kind of
wants
talk
to
from my
view
heart, so I
this
might be throwing these.
It's available on Edmonton Freedom Central. So we do our best to get these clips from these different places, and then we post them to the page, Edmonton Freedom Central. And what we're trying to create is this hub everybody can come to for all the latest news in the freedom movement, not just in Edmonton, but across Alberta. On occasion, we post something from out of province. So, Donald, we're talking a bit about energy, and the energy when people get together. Like in the Grand Prairie clip, they went to the mall, they sang. At rallies can be energizing. You get the speeches, and you get inspired by someone like Brian Dennison, who had the courage to stand up to tyranny at the risk of losing his job. And so his message inspires others. And what I love about this year is I sort of look at the patterns, and like back in January was when I was feeling at my lowest. And what inspired and motivated me to take action was predominantly two people. One was Natalie Klein. The other was Chris Scott, because I saw the action they were taking. And in those cases, they were getting results too. And so I thought, if they can take action, I can take action. And so that's what made me become a rallier February 4th. And I started organizing a rally. So that was contributing factors. So we're talking about energy.
And you've done a fabulous job. Like, hats off. Really, hats off to you, Benita.
Thank you. And it's been such a good journey. So, but what I'm looking for is more teams of people to get out and take some sort of action, because we'll feed off the energy of one another. And so just this past week, I designed a concept. It's called the Team of 12. And I posted it on my Facebook page. I posted it at Edmonton Freedom Central. And I said, well, what needs to happen is, and it's kind of like what you're talking about, Donald, is teams of people need to come together. And some of it is just to nurture each other, but sometimes it's to take action. Maybe get out on the street with signs and be visible, so that 30% of the people who are completely in the other mindset see you, and maybe they don't like you, but then that 40% who are sort of just complying to get along, but we want to win them over, they see you and they see there's still freedom action taking. And so I've got this concept of teams of 12, because one of the things I learned about an event at West Edmonton Mall last December 4th was, if the team is too big, it's very hard to communicate with the entire team. Okay, unless you have a really good system. But a team of 12, you can easily communicate with. And if you need to, you can pivot quickly. So I've created this concept, and I really want people to read about it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out assignments on my page, and your team of 12 can choose to do it or not do it, or do it and adapt it, or come up with your own assignment. But hopefully let me know how it's going. And so, for example, I came across this wonderful lady. She's one of my inspirations. Her name is Lori Dawn. And Lori Dawn has been to a few freedom events, but nowadays her priority is not freedom events. Her priority now is she is actually going door to door with a team of people. And this is even before team of 12 existed in this concept. It's like we're both like-minded, but we're coming at it from different directions. And so she is going door to door with a team of people, and they are not only handing out material door to door, they are also doing surveys with people. Like, they're doing their very best to connect with people and kind of get an idea of their mindset, and hopefully, win them over, or at least bring them a step in this direction. And so I'm going to work at contacting her by phone so she can be a part of this meeting for a few minutes. In the meantime, Donald, could you share with us what you think of the Team of 12 concept, and how, if it was up to you, how you would adapt it?
Well, thank you very much, Benita. Your idea about the team of 12 is almost exactly the Thursday meeting, the Thursday group idea of Pam Poppers that we're trying to do. And the idea is, so when you start by inviting a group, even one friend over to your place, over a cup of coffee, let's talk about what we can do. And the next week, like a few more. And within a few weeks, you'll have a group of like-minded people around your kitchen table or in your living room, talking about what you can do. to push back against the tyranny and what you can do to help each other in your own community. And if you want more information about this, you can go to Pam Popper's website. She's in the United States, she's American, and it's called Make Americans Free Again. Right? It's a play on the MAGA, right? Make America Great, but it's Make Americans Free Again. Or you can search Pam Popper, easy name, and come up with her instructions. She's got there like a draft agenda for your Thursday meetings, all that kind of stuff. And so, and when the group gets too big for your house, you split into two groups. So it's kind of like Benita's team of 12. When you get 18, split into two groups, and yeah, so it will be. And in essence, this is how communist cells have worked forever, right? The underground, there's small decentralized groups, but you connect with each other, and so the connecting with each other is part of now organizing and unifying the 30% of people who are awake and willing to speak up and push back against the tyranny.
Thank you so much, Donald. Appreciating that. I managed to track down Lori Dawn. We have her on the phone. Say hi, Lori Dawn.
Hi, Lori.
Oh, say hi, Lori Dawn. Are you there? Hi, Lori Dawn. Are you there? You're live.
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Okay. Donald, can you hear her okay?
It's a little bit soft, but I can hear her.
Okay, so we have Lori Dawn on the line. Lori Dawn's been going door to door. So Lori Dawn, my first question is, what inspired you to go door to door, handing out materials and doing a survey?
Well, I've been inspired spiritually, actually, because I'm an indigo starseed, and
Not such a great connection there, huh? Benita, you're muted for some reason. Benita's talking, but there we go. Now you're not. Now you're not muted.
Oh, I'm having tech issues. Okay, no problem. We'll just barrel forward here. So Donald, so the team of 12 concept kind of echoes in a sense that other concept. So we need these teams. We need these pockets of teams. I've heard about concepts such as underground churches, even that may be happening, right? If the rules become too stringent, people will just switch to underground churches. And
it's essentially underground everything. I mean, like I said, we have to think of ourselves as Robin Hoods. Almost everything we do is going to be illegal. So, I mean, if you want to have a normal church service, it's against the law now. This is bizarre, absolutely bizarre. But then everything in our world is bizarre today. So just accept it. If you want to have a church service, it's going to be illegal. If you want to have a birthday, if you want to have a kid's birthday party, for goodness sakes, it's illegal. Like, this is ridiculous. So just accept the fact that you're Robin Hood. Almost everything you do is going to be illegal. Get over it. Get used to it. The rule of law is gone. Not just in Canada, essentially all over the world. We've lost the rule of law. Okay, so rather than the rule of the jungle, every person needs to live by the rule of their own conscience. Every one of us knows in our heart what's right and what's wrong. You know that. I know that. There's things that you and I simply would not do, whether there was a law against it or not. And anyway, so yeah, so underground churches, your meetings are going to be underground, because if they haven't, I don't even pay attention to what the rules are. Like, constantly changing the rules, that's part of the psychological warfare too. I was going to say, you were mentioning kind of the energy of a group together. Absolutely. That's part of isolation, the very fact of isolation. We know this is psychological warfare. We know this is psychological torture. That's why we have laws against putting prisoners, criminals, in isolation. You can't put people in isolation for forever, right? And yet this is what we're doing. The way we're being isolated, psychological warfare. So yeah, simply having a group of people over to your house is going to be against the law if it isn't already. Like, I don't pay any attention to that stuff. So yeah, you get the energy from the groups. We need the social contact. Humans are social animals. This is just part of our emotional and psychological makeup. It's the way we are. Do not, let me, I was thinking, I haven't touched on this yet, but one of the key themes in my upcoming book is, of course, we are in a war. And how do we fight this war? It's unlike any war we have ever had. It's biological war and psychological war. Like, how do we fight this? And it's a civil war. It's brother against brother. It's tearing apart every family, every community, and it will tear apart almost every country. I believe that will tear apart countries. So in this war, I say repeatedly in my book, our strategy is love, our tactic is forgiveness, and our weapon is nonviolent, non-cooperation. That was the weapon of Mahatma Gandhi. Many of your listeners will know that, right? Nonviolent, non-cooperation. Chris Guy says, just say no. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not getting this shot. No, I'm not wearing a mask. No, I'm not going to stand over there. No, I'm not leaving. Like nonviolent, but just non-cooperation. No, what you're trying to do is illegal. What you're doing right, and this, right? Those, because the actions of those security guards in the mall were illegal, they were committing assault against that woman. All right, that's a criminal offense. What they were doing is assault. And
unfortunately, in our current system, if you attempted to charge them with assault, your charges would go nowhere. Because the system is hijacked.
Okay, but
so there's
that's
no
exactly
point
right.
in it. Yeah. Now, serving them with a notice of liability, that could be something to do. But I think to attempt to charge them with assault would be fruitless in this case.
Yeah, our courts are corrupt. They're not doing their job. And but I think all of us can understand. I mean, if you look at how assault is defined, those security officers committed assault against that poor woman. And so I say it goes back to like, accept that you're going to be breaking of the law. Use your own moral compass. Your own moral compass will guide you better than what's going on in our world today. You know that's wrong. And if anybody who was around there who saw that happening, I know we all kind of get isolated, feel isolated, but like someone else, and particularly men, okay, men, right? Time to stand up, men, and be men. Why didn't a man come to the defense of that poor woman? Why didn't another man come and say, hey, guys, leave her alone? She's not breaking any law. She's not doing anything wrong. You're committing assault, and I'm going to report you, whatever. Just, if there was 4 or 5 men that got up from their tables and came over and told those security guards, hey, lay off, leave her alone. That would have been the end of it. It would have ended, right? They would have gone away. 5 good, strong, strapping construction workers or whatever, truckers say, hey, take a hike, guy, leave her alone.
Yeah, I agree with you. I did a video back in April called Stand Together, Band Together, and it's on my Rumble channel, DJ Benita on Rumble. And it illustrates exactly what you're talking about, that we have to stand together. What's that?
I was looking at the video. There's a couple of big, strong guys walking right a little bit behind those security guards.
Yeah.
Like there was people there, right? So my friends, my brothers and sisters, all of you who are out there, remember, right there, right? Big, strong guy. What if he would have just said, hey, leave her alone. Leave her and the little kids alone. Like, take a hike. Right? Okay, man, time to stand up. Time to step into your natural role as defenders and protectors of women and children. Do not let this be repeated. There you go.
I just want to thank you for all the support that I have had. It's amazing that you all are here, and you're the reason why I stood up. You have inspired me. I am very proud of all of you. And I'm proud of all Canadians that have stood up and taken a stand for what you believe in. It's my duty as a police officer to follow orders if they're lawful. And the orders that have been given me about the mandates, I feel are unlawful. And that's why I find myself where I am today. And I decided that enough has happened, that it was my time to stand up and stand out with the rest of you. Okay. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but what I am is I'm vaccine free. I don't like to be lumped into a small category of who I might be, but I am for truth and I am for freedom. It's my first engagement. I'll get used to this. This all starts with one voice, and you're the one voice, and it actually goes beyond that. I have had people from all over the world contacting me, especially Germany. And the correlations that I put across, they're saying I'm bang on what's happening. And this is from people who grew up in that and have relatives from that time in history. And they see the same things that I saw and I see and what you see. And it's all about us taking our freedoms back.
That's right.
We're all in this together. We are one family. We are humans and we're all the same. And we need to stand up for each other. And the more people that actually come out and raise their voices together, though we might be small now, you put us all together and we're huge across the world. And I can tell you that if you could see the amount of messages that come through on my phone, we are not alone.
Nope.
Across the world, we are speaking up. And that's what we all need to do. Continue to speak up, continue to be brave, continue to be honorable, just like you are. And we need more police officers. And I just want to say that I am not the only Calgary police officer. I just happen to be the face. There's more out there, and they might be working behind the scenes, and there's a lot of them here today. And I just want you to put your hands together for them as well. So you can imagine the flack that I'm going to get for doing this. So it'll be interesting. I guess I'll be talking to my chief soon. So we have put our trust in our leaders in this country, our government, our official government, and sometimes we need to trust them. They have proven that they are not trustworthy. They do not have our best interest at heart. Again, I stand up and I will obey lawful orders. What they are doing is not lawful. I have heard several people refer to this as a war, like our war, our world war. And it is. It is not a conventional war the way that they have been fought before, but it is a war. And we will win this war together.
Yes, we will. Woo!
And I want you all to know that there is hope. Don't ever lose hope. Just because we may be a smaller group than what you think, we're not. There's more out there that are standing up every single day. Vaccinated, unvaccinated, doesn't matter. They're all seeing what this is all really about. And it's not about the virus,
No.
It's about people taking away our freedoms and our rights. And we need to make sure that we do not allow that to happen. So don't be fearful. I think that's what they have tried to instill in Canadians and people across the world, fear. Fear is not helpful to anybody, and you should not be fearful. You can just look who's standing beside you, and you can gain help. You could have anybody help you and give you the strength and the courage to carry on. Don't ever feel the fear. Stand up and be who you are, and don't let anyone say otherwise. You are on the right side of this.
Well, Donald, what do you think of that speech? That was delivered in overtones
that was
today.
great. And you know, to viewers who have been writing comments in thank you very much. I've been noticing some of them. Kevin made a comment about if you I can't remember exactly what his words are, but basically if you let fear overcome you, then you are giving in. And we haven't really touched on the spiritual aspect of this war, and I try to make it clear, especially at the beginning and the end of the book. This is a spiritual war. We can understand this in many ways. Whatever your spiritual or religious kind of background is, you know, I try to explain. You can look at it this way, you can see it in this light. It's a matter of perception, right? You can perceive it this way, you can perceive it that way. Even if you're an atheist and you don't think there's any spiritual realities, nonsense stuff at all, you can see it strictly in psychological terms. But there is a spiritual dimension to this war, and in spiritual terms, we can understand. And most people don't understand this, but fear is the opposite of love. Now, we often think that, you know, like hatred is the opposite of love or something like that. But no, it's fear. Hatred is a child of fear. And if you think about that carefully, think about if you hate anything, think about what it is you hate. You will find fear at the root of it. Okay, so, and part of this, the cure for fear is love. And you can love, because love is within every one of us. Those of us with a Christian background might remember the words of Paul. Don't you know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit? The Holy Spirit dwells within every one of us. It's in us. The love of God is already in us. If we don't feel it, it's because we're not letting it flow out of it. It's like we have to convert that potential energy of God's love that's within that. We have to convert that to kinetic energy and let that love flow through us. Then we feel it. Okay, so if we can focus on love, let love flow through us, it will dispel fear. And St. John says this. He says, perfect love casts out all fear. And that's why we read throughout, and fear does cause the illness. You're exactly right. Great name, by the way, Stone Lee. Like one of the most often repeated phrases in the Bible is, do not fear. Do not be afraid. There is nothing to fear. And that's why they exactly use fear as a tool of manipulation. So understand, I mentioned this in the book too, by the way, understand that when someone is trying to make you afraid, they're trying to manipulate you. Okay? Don't be afraid of anything. Don't be afraid.
And that works both ways. Afraid of COVID, afraid of the vaccine, afraid of gathering, afraid of being arrested, afraid of being tickets. It's multi-layers of ways that they are attempting to cause fear in us.
Yeah. Do what your heart tells you is right. Spread love in every way you can, right? Our strategy is love. Our tactic is forgiveness. And our weapon is nonviolent, non-cooperation. Just say no. And you notice that all of these gatherings that you're showing there, like, there's no violence. It's love. But we're saying, no, I mean, and sometimes people misunderstand this. We think a loving person just, allows anything. No, that's not love. It's not love to be a doormat, right? As wise as serpents, as innocent as doves. Thank you very much, Kevin. That's beautiful. A message from the Bible as well. So anyway, but you distracted my train of thought, Kevin. Anyway, yes, love. Many of you, our viewers, will have heard of tough love. Yes, love doesn't always say yes. Sometimes love says no. Right? Love doesn't permit everything. Love sometimes says no. You will not do that. Right. So what we need now is tough love.
That's true. We need to push back. Absolutely. I have a couple of updates from some people. We were going to have Lori Dawn as a guest on the show, but there were some tech issues, and so she couldn't make it, but she did have a couple of messages. She's looking to build up her team. She's not quite at 12 yet, so she's looking for some members who might want to join her in these projects where she goes door to door with love, as Donald suggests. It's done in a really loving way. It's not at all about confrontation. It's more of an invitation. And so that's her style. So she's looking to build her team of 12 in Edmonton to go door to door, handing out materials, as well as doing a survey. I'll be meeting with her this Saturday after the Alberta for Liberty event in Edmonton. And so I'll find out more about her program. But anybody who wants to sign up to go door to door and build this team, send a message to me. I'll pass it on to Lori Dawn. Another update here. I just heard from Sherry Strong, and she composed the following. She has an update on Dr. Mel and an update on Sean. Both of these gentlemen in the past week were apprehended and taken into the psychological ward of facilities. So Sean was apprehended on Sunday of last weekend, and Dr. Mel Boucher was apprehended on Wednesday of this past week. So Mel was actually released for 8 hours today, and he spoke at the rally. There was a rally today in North Vancouver outside the hospital. Sean is still in the Alberta hospital. Sean's spirit is waning, and he has told Sherry and his father that he just wants out. Sherry can't seem to get access to him. Their conversations are recorded, but Sean told her that he wants this story and his image to go out to the world so that they know what is going on. And so that's what Sherry's doing by communicating to me and me to you. Sherry has the following request. Please hold both of these men in your hearts and pray for the best outcome for them and their families. May they be protected and released to care that helps them continue to serve others. So if you could think of Sean tonight in your prayers, currently being held at Alberta Hospital, and if you could think also of Dr. Mel Boucher in your prayers, that would be terrific if you could do that and contribute in that way. And we're echoing Donald Lee right here where he's talking about use love. And if you want to, you could even extend your prayers to the people who right now have Sean in their care and who have Dr. Mel in their care. And I mean, we don't know their names of all those nurses and doctors and orderlies, but we could still pray for them, and we could pray for a softening of their hearts. And we could pray for them to treat Mel, to treat Sean with respect and dignity in the coming days. We could pray for their increased awareness. We could use love in so many powerful ways. Can you expand on that, Donald?
Yeah, we can always do this. And, for our viewers, I have no idea how many people, might see, our podcast tonight or in future. It'll be recorded, right? But in everything we do, right? Act with justice. It's not rocket science. We know it's not rocket science, right? I mean, it's like the advice Jesus gave so often. People say, oh, what should I do? Well, the commandments, don't lie, act with justice, treat everyone with love. If you give a glass of water in my name, like those of you who are working in hospitals, who are in police departments, who are in the military. I'm certain that in the future, our military will be called upon to fill roles that they shouldn't be filling, right? Treat everyone with justice. Like, justice is not something that comes on high from governments. No, justice is a quality of character. It's in how we treat every single person who crosses our path. Do we treat them with justice and respect? And that every one of us can do that. I just want to touch, because you know what, I talked about how we need to put more power to municipalities, more power to communities, and that's what we need to build in. Here's another link that our listeners can follow up if you're interested. And I just heard about this today, so I haven't had a chance to really check into it myself. But the website is onesmalltown.org, and it's a concept that these people have been working on for many years. And essentially, it's a South African-based group, and it's not surprising that this word Ubuntu means taking care of everyone in your community. It's not surprising that South Africa is a place where many of these ideas of community are coming out of, because they've had a dysfunctional government for many years. Those of us in Canada and Alberta are just beginning to see that our government is dysfunctional, and we need to play some catch up and create our own, our own communities, our own structures and stuff, because we have dysfunctional governments. And this idea is essentially a community that is almost like a cooperative, a form of business, a cooperative form of multi-businesses. And it's a fascinating idea, and maybe some communities here in Alberta should consider adopting that kind of a structure.
I appreciate you pointing that out, Donald. Thank you for that final thought there. Our viewers might want to explore that, as well as your website. I have a couple messages here. One was, I was put on the spot last night with an interesting question, and it was, Benita, if you were incarcerated, what would you want people to do? Whether I was incarcerated in a jail or whether I was taken to the Alberta hospital, whatever. And I last night I said, well, just bring me food and a notepad and pen so I can do a bunch of writing. And I had time to think about it today. If I was, what would I want people to do? Because Sherry Strong said if she was incarcerated, she would want people to advocate for her, like she's advocating right now for Sean. So I finally realized my answer, and my answer is this. If I was ever incarcerated, this is what I want all of you to do. I want you to put your differences aside, quit fighting with one another, and unite. Unite as one. You're seeing how I do it. Okay? I can work with people. I can work with difficult people. I'm game to work with any group that's game to work with me. I forgive those who've wronged me. Let's get past it, and let's work for what's really important. So what I want is I want people to unite. And then, of course, I had more time to think about that, and I realized, tell you what, let's not wait until I'm incarcerated.
Do it anyway.
Do it right now.
Do it anyway.
Let's do this right now. The little petty differences between us don't matter. Let's figure it out. Let's work together. And every day I feel like we're getting closer and closer to doing that. And Donald, your messages tonight are a complete echo of what's in my heart. Plus, you've given me some new ideas. Really, really appreciate you being a guest on the show here tonight. And hopefully we can book you as a guest sometime soon, maybe over Christmas or something. And thanks for being a guest. Ladies and gentlemen, what's coming up in the near future? Actually, tomorrow night, I'll be hosting the Kevin J. Johnston show. And the topic there is supply chain concerns. That show goes from 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. So please tune in for that. On Tuesday, we're going to have an afternoon show here on Edmonton Freedom Central. And what we're going to do is me and at least one guest, we're going to dissect Jason Kenney's remarks, because apparently Jason Kenney is going to make some kind of announcement Tuesday afternoon, and we're going to be analyzing them and telling everybody what we think. So, and then Thursday of this week, I'm interviewing Pastor Archer Pulowski here at Edmonton Freedom Central, 7 p.m. Thursday. Saturday, Alberta for Liberty has an event at the Alberta Legislature. You can find out more information about that on their Facebook page, Alberta for Liberty. And there's some other stuff going on. I can't even keep track of it all right now, but keep tuning in regularly to Edmonton Freedom Central. And if you haven't already looked at it, check out Selena's post from earlier today at 2 p.m. She gave a tutorial on how to report an injury if you've been injected. Now, keep in mind, this knowledge isn't just for you. This knowledge is for you to share with others who might benefit from this knowledge. So I encourage you to watch Selena Paley's post from 2 p.m. earlier today about how to report a vaccine injury. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please share out this video. Please watch it again, and please post your thoughts in the comments. My name is Benita Pedersen with All Fired Up for Freedom and Edmonton Freedom Central.
Put your mask on. No, you gotta wear it on, honey.
No, you got to keep it on.
Are you looking for the perfect formula to raise your child to be immunocompromised? Would you like to condition your kids to be anxiety-ridden antisocial freaks? Introducing Trust the Experts. This one-step program will have your child naturally develop mental illness, a weakened immune system, and a spiritual void inside of themselves where a wholesome childhood should be. Who needs fresh air and socialization when you can trust the experts? Let's face it, these vaccines are basically mandatory now. Your body doesn't belong to you anymore, and neither does your children. They belong to the state. Embrace the new normal and volunteer your child for experimental, routine, untested injections for the greater good of science. I do it because I trust the experts. Warning: trusting the experts may cause cowardice, extreme depression, loss of humanity, loss of independent thought, upset stomach, and diarrhea. Hail Satan. It's important to remember you're a helpless idiot. You can't do anything yourself. So keep drinking that beer or wine, scrolling through TikTok, and not really caring about the future of your generation and your generation's children. The government loves you. Don't trust your maternal instinct. Trust the experts and allow today's trauma to last a lifetime.
Wear a mask to school. Hi ho the Dario. I wear a mask to school. It helps to keep me safe.
Section 6, and a violation of the Emergency Act 14.1. I refuse to test. I tell everybody to test. Say no to the test. No to the quarantine. Say no. Somebody be calling the test today. Thank you very much. You are Wisconsin. You have rights.
I went to see the doctor with a touch of the flu, and I'm kinda skeptical of what he told me to do. He said that I should lock myself inside my room for a year, shut my non-essential business down and cower in fear. I said, Doc, I don't know, that seems so out of line. Give it 3, maybe 4 days, I bet I'll be fine. He said, no, you must not, you must wait for the shot. Everybody's gotta get it or society stops. I said, Doc, I don't know, is that all really true? These shots are brand new, they ain't fully approved. He said, no, you can trust us, it's the latest in science. Never mind the people dying, just give up your compliance. I said, Doc, you must have me mistaken with someone pliable. I can't trust you if none of these companies are liable. So I'm gonna stay the course like a one-way road. Take your vaccine and shove it, I'ma just say no. 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 Just say what? Just say no. To the war being our minds and our bodies and our soul. They ain't looking out for you, it's a scam and it's all about control. So doing what they say won't make it go away, oh no. But they don't know the lengths I'll go. Through rain and snow, I ain't so I left the doctor's office and stepped onto the street, feeling troubled by the lies and campaign of deceit. But I'm not easily defeated, I'm not one to retreat. I tried to make a post about it, they deleted the tweet. Undeterred, I stood on the corner holding a sign. The cops showed up, I got arrested and fined. They told me that my words are considered a crime. Next they'll be coming for the thoughts in your mind. I knew they were wrong, I took my ticket and left. They're trying to make it difficult for those of us who resist. And with every headline the propaganda continues. Now they say I'm gonna need a shot to step in a venue. All according to script, going exactly as planned. Next they're gonna wanna put a microchip in our hand. They say conspiracy theory, and that's all that they do. But it isn't just a theory if it keeps coming true.
And that's why I'm gonna just say no.
Just say no. Just say no. Just say no.
Just say no.
Just say no. Just say what? Just say no. Where we're at now, the final boss battle. I'm not about to back down, I'm hopping in the saddle. I'm coming at it from a different angle like a southpaw. The system is corrupt, so it's good to be an outlaw. I'm rallying the troops, I'm looking for the lions who know that we will never get more freedom with compliance. If the passports happen, we won't get away with just one. They're gonna make us take a new shot every 6 months. It's only getting worse. Every time that we comply more, they take away the rights that our grandparents died for. Time to defy and let the vibes rise more. Make a better world for our kids, what we strive for. And that means getting rid of all restrictions and masks, saying no to passports and resisting the jab. It's time to kick some dust up like an unpaved road. So join me and Chris Guy and just say no.
Just say no.
Just say no. Just say no. Just say no. Just say no.
Just say no.
Just say what? Just say no.
What do you have to say to those, including MPs in the House of Commons, who see in your use of the term Great Reset evidence of some sort of grand plot? What do you have to say to this sort of conspiracy theory out on social media now?
I think we're in a time of anxiety where people are looking for reasons for things that are happening to them, that the difficult moments we're in. It's nice to be able to try and find someone to blame, something to point to, something to get mad at. I think we're seeing a lot of people fall prey to disinformation. And if conservative MPs and others want to start talking about conspiracy theories, well, that's their choice. I'm going to stay focused on helping Canadians get through this, on learning lessons from this pandemic, and making sure that the world we leave to our kids is even better than the world we inherited from our parents.
Yo, are you tired of being told what to do, where to go, and how to think by a bunch of sick psychopaths? I know I am. Fuck the mask order and the New World Order. Fuck the mask order and the New World Order. Fuck the mask order and the New World Order. Hang the pedal politicians and their Satan forces. First they lied about the Rona, said not to worry. Then they shut our world down and bribed us with their own money. When they opened up again, the lies didn't end. As the death count started to fall, the story changed again. Instead of counting deaths, they switched to counting cases. Got the Karens out here spitting in your faces. They want you to shut the fuck up, blindly follow orders. And if you don't, they'll lock you up, even resort to murder. So fuck the mask order and the New World Order. Fuck mandatory vaccines and the shutdown orders. Fuck the governors and their mandates. String them up, light them up, heads out on stakes. Fuck the fake news, CNN abuse. get some. Undocumented green, California lit trees, 5'7" stacking up, 50 round P90. Why you lying on my name? Air July, Twitter game, cocaine, applesauce, come and take it, Baker Maine. Screw Marxist infiltrators, Reds always want mine. Comey's gonna get a dish out the barrel, Glock 9. Socialist, no time, black and gold worldwide. Ron Paul televised, Bitcoin wallet size. Fuck the mask order and the New World Order, the social distancing and the lockdown orders. Fuck the censorship and the planned panic. Liberty, non-negotiable, freedom addict. Now what you gonna do when they got the 5 loose, copping drugs and guns? Don't you know that means you? So reject it all and disobey. Expand your mind, know yourself, philosophy all the way. Fuck the mask order and the New World Order. Fuck the mask order and the New World Order. Fuck the mask order and the New World Order. Hang the pedal politicians and their state enforcers. Yeah, I said it. Fuck their mask orders. Your body is sovereign. Life, liberty, property rights, bitch. Fuck these status ass hoes.